Hello, you beautiful individuals. We are back with, unfortunately, another Kent Hovind video. But it's a little different. Well, not different, I guess, because I've done this before. Let me explain. So somebody pointed out that I started, reacting to this essentially movie that McKinnon Mitchell Studios here made. And then I just kind of forgot about it. Like, life got in the way, and then yeah, I forgot all about it. So this will be part four. Part one, two, and three are obviously are on my channel. But really, you should go and watch the actual video from McKinnon Mitchell Studios. Who, I mean, let me just say, he has 248,000 views on this already, and six and a half roughly thousand subscribers. And don't get me wrong, that's pretty solid, especially for views. But that's nowhere near enough. I mean, this man put in probably hours, weeks, months, maybe I don't know how long into making this, and he did a wonderful job. I mean, I make very, very horrible, just subpar, non-original videos, and I'm an idiot, quite frankly. This genius here made a 2 hour and basically 10-minute long movie, just completely destroying Kent Hovind. And so if you haven't watched it, just definitely go watch it. Anyway, let's jump right into this and get through part four. And I'm not going to do the next video won't be part five. The next video will probably be like covering something else or somebody else. But I do want to actually get through this whole thing. So there will be a part five and, part six, seven, however many parts it takes to get through this. Because I'm only going to do roughly 20-minute increments. Anyway, already too long of an intro, like I usually do. So let's just, like I said, get right into this.
The primary reason Kent was sent to prison was for the crime of structuring. What is structuring? Simply put, structuring involves the practice of withdrawing or depositing money just beneath the amount of $10,000 with the intent to avoid the bank filing a report, which could result in taxes owed.
Yeah, so just saying, for all the, Kent Hovind fanboys out there that love to comment and defend your weird cult leader, remember, he did go to jail and quite frankly should still be in jail, but, or I shouldn't just say jail, to prison. Yeah, so he not only is a con man, but he's literally a con. Like, he's a convict. But whatever. No, that's neither here nor there.
Simplified further, it is a means of avoiding paying taxes, which, as should be abundantly evident by now, is one of Kent's primary motivations. Structuring is not a complex crime. It's actually quite easy to understand. Yet, Kent has either exhaustively tried to mischaracterize the concept of structuring, or simply lacked the mental capacity to understand it. I cannot factually claim either way, but the evidence suggests the former, which then supports the idea that while Kent might not lack the mental capacity to understand how structuring works, he lacked the mental capacity to see that feigning ignorance was not going to work. Kent has repeatedly tried to characterize structuring as a crime of not making a deposit or withdrawal to the amount of $10,000.
And just saying, that's just something that Kent Hovind does with everything. I mean, with science, religion, just everything. He doesn't lack the mental ability to understand it. He just thinks or doesn't care that if he just keeps claiming that what he says is true and what everyone else says isn't true, then eventually what he thinks or says will become true. And it's just not how reality works. But it is Kent Hovind. I mean, he's a con to the end. I mean, that's like kind of con man rule number one is never drop the con. And I got to give him that. He doesn't drop the con, that's for sure.
And he adds to this by saying that by that description, everyone is guilty of structuring, since the vast majority of people do not make deposits or withdrawals of $10,000, especially on a regular basis.
Yeah, but that's because everyone also isn't depositing $9,000 over and over and over and over and over again, hence making it structuring. You moron. Obviously talking about Kent, not McKinnon Mitchell. Love you, McKinnon Mitchell. Thanks again for making this wonderfully made video.
Interview with Bogden. Bogden pushes back on Kent on the subject of structuring, providing this interaction.
What happened with the structuring, if the speed limit was 70 and you got stopped for going 69, and they said, you're avoiding...
What if you were stopped for 71?
Well, no, if you got stopped for... I did not go over 10,000. We took out $9,500.
Structuring is kind of boring.
That's like saying, I'm going to give you a ticket for going 69 because you're thinking about going over 70. I'm not going over 70.
It's because of the structure law.
No, that's not what it's like, Kent. You're just... Man, that's what Kent does. It's like he finds these weird ways to try to explain things, but they just end up making him look so much more ignorant than he actually is. I mean, he does it with everything, especially when it comes to science and evolution. I mean, dear God, this dude, he is something else. I haven't watched this actual interview between them, but I hope this interviewer pushes back, harder than most people would, I guess.
It's more like this. The speed limit is 70, but I'm going 73 because I know nobody will really do anything.
That is not that's a bad analogy. I did not take...
What do you mean that's a bad analogy? Did you not hear your stupid analogy? He's just trying to make sense of your ignorant analogy. I mean, mind you, what he said, I get what he's saying, but it also wasn't the best way to put it. But to be fair, he's just trying to go off of what you said, Kent, because what you said was so stupid.
Over $10,000 out of the bank.
As previously stated.
Which you did, so you didn't have to pay taxes. Which is why you went to prison, you moron.
Withdrawing or depositing funds below $10,000 is not by default structuring. It requires further investigation to identify intent. In an example from Kent Hovind's withdrawals, Kent required $30,000 in order to put a down payment on a house he wanted to purchase. There is a process put in place that allows individuals to retrieve large amounts of money, but in doing so, the bank files a report, which can then lead to taxes owed. So, Kent specifically retrieved the amount in 3 withdrawals totaling $9,000 and 1 withdrawal of $3,000. There is no practical reason to withdraw the money through this process unless seeking to avoid the bank filing a report. This, among a multitude of repeated transactions just under $10,000, shows a pattern of behavior indicative with the intent of structuring. Partner this with the fact that Kent worked with Glenn Stoll, a known tax protester who required his clients to contact him if they want to make any withdrawal over $10,000, who is now pleading.
The worst part is, too, clearly you knew what you were doing. I mean, let's be honest. What other reason did you have to withdraw the money that way if it wasn't to avoid paying taxes? Why else were you doing it? I mean, this is why his analogies and his reasonings are so stupid. This guy.
Pleading guilty to conspiracy to defraud the United States. It may seem accurate to quote attorney David Charles Gibbs when he directly said to Kent, "Just because you might get away with it doesn't make it right." Hovind has repeatedly attempted to paint the picture that he was a sweet, innocent, gentle preacher who was willing to openly cooperate with the investigation and trial.
And he's not. He's a disgusting, guilty, despicable example of a human or creature.
Yet, the evidence of Kent's behavior clearly shows otherwise. As discussed, Hovind was hostile towards the IRS agents, telling his followers not to cooperate with their agents, questioning what the agents would do if he physically attacked them. And after the search warrant had been executed, Kent Hovind forced those working for him to sign a non-disclosure agreement. If the workers refused to sign, they would not be allowed to work for Creation Science Evangelism, Kent's ministry. Further, Hovind had sent a letter to Agent Snyder attempting to order him not to speak with any of his workers, saying that Snyder could only talk to him. Workers who were called in to testify during the trial were afraid to due to Kent's aggressive insistence towards the non-disclosure agreement. Kent had been told by multiple people over time from a multitude of fields and positions that he was wrong.
Man, so you're telling me the delusional cult leader has people who's afraid of him because he may become, crazed and possibly violent, which has been proven to be true since he's been violent towards one of his many ex-wives and various other people. How weird. Would have never seen that one coming.
The IRS and even Christians like Rebecca Horton, Chad Hovind, and David Charles Gibbs tried to explain this to him. None of this changed Kent's behavior. He refused to be wrong and refused to accept responsibility for anything.
And he never will. I mean, that's like his whole shtick. He literally will never admit he's wrong. He'll never accept responsibility for anything because he is just a delusional narcissist.
Which is characterized perfectly by one of Kent's most ridiculous statements during the trial.
Who exactly is charging me with doing what? When they came and arrested me, I said, what did I do?
To such an extent that when the presiding magistrate judge asked Hovind if he wrote and spoke English, Hovind responded, to some degree. Kent Hovind, who has conducted hundreds, if not thousands of sermons and seminars, each close to an hour long and up to 3 hours long, all in the English language for decades, claimed he only spoke English to some degree. But
honestly, I mean, he might not be wrong in a way. Like, yeah, he does obviously speak English, but does he truly understand English? Because, I mean, the things he says rarely ever make sense. It's like it's like he knows what the words are, and he knows what words are and how to say them, but he just doesn't know how to string them together in a coherent way to make any kind of sense or intelligent thought whatsoever.
to hear Kent tell it, it's everyone else who are lying. However, despite all of this, the most disturbing thing that came from Kent's trial that actually happened was a phone call. During a recorded phone call in prison.
God, is that his mugshot or something? He looks weird. I mean, not like, I try not to attack people on looks and stuff or anything, because, I mean, I'm no looker, that's for sure. But, man, that's bizarre. I guess I've just never seen him with that short of hair.
Prison. Kent denies guilt over and over. But the part of the call that frustrates me is one of Kent's key moments that inspired this documentary. It was Joe Hovind's moment of insecurity.
So cheer up. It's going to be fine. Can you do that?
I want, for me, it's even just having a hope, and I just don't have that right now. I don't have a hope that's going to be different in our marriage when you get out, because I'm just hearing things that sound all the same, and that it's...
Maybe I need to change. Or maybe you need to change and accept it. Say, hey, that's the way he is, that's the way God made him, so I'm going to love him that way. I mean, that's the other hope. Your hope is always that I will change. Maybe the hope ought to be that you will adapt.
Yes, sir.
It's another option,
That's disgusting. I mean, dude, like that. Look, I mean, people are who they are, and everybody can do with some change in themselves, some bettering of themselves. But to say something like that, I mean, and to be fair too, like, you shouldn't go into a relationship expecting that you're going to change the person, because, as I said, people are who they are. But still, the way he said that, it's like, no, I shouldn't change. You should change. You should adapt. You should, just accept that God made me this way. That God made me a piece of garbage. It's honestly, he's telling his wife that she should evolve, which is, just kind of funny in its own way, because he's so against evolution. Obviously, I know it's not the same thing, but,
Maybe you should adapt. Jo Hovind was scared. She was terrified of what was about to happen. What she was wanting in that moment was some strength from her husband. What she wanted was to stop hearing the same old, "it's gonna be fine, everything is fine," when the very blatant truth she was seeing was that everything was not going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the poor lady, like, I mean, look, you know, she did choose to be with him, and again, that's not necessarily her fault. You know, you can't help who you fall in love with, all that stuff. But dude, come on, like, all she wanted from you was just a moment of honesty and humanity. But instead, you say that to her. I mean, God, dude, I thought Hovind was a disgusting piece of garbage before, but after hearing that, that's just, man, what a pathetic example of a human being.
She turned to her husband for support, and instead, he treats her like some annoying subpar subordinate. And she responds with the sickening "yes, sir" that Kent undoubtedly instilled in her to speak to him with. And in the end, Jo Hovind was also sentenced to 1 year in prison by following her husband's lead and doing.
Man, she went to prison too. I mean, I know she only got a year compared to his 10, but man, that is, I don't know. That's tough, because I mean, I'm sure she did it, you know. I'm sure she did also do the structuring or whatever, but to be fair, she probably only did it because Hovind is such a misogynistic piece of garbage who is so controlling. I mean, he's literally said that women are subordinate to men, and women, you know, they should do what we say, blah, blah, blah. That sucks. Man, I think I'm fairly certain that they're divorced now, and wherever you're at, lady, dude, I hope you're doing better, and I hope you are happier now that you're away from this piece of garbage. And if you are still with him, which I don't think they are, but if you are, man, get the hell away from that dude. Anyone that's near or with him in any capacity, whether it's romantic or friendship or, you know, cult follower, get away from this disgusting man before it's too late.
Doing as he says, by submitting to her husband, as Kent so often has reminded that the Bible says to do.
How could you not want to serve somebody who would do that for you? How can you not want to dedicate everything you've got?
Because you're not dedicating everything you got. You want them to do that for you, but you wouldn't do it for them. What are you talking about? I mean, this is what I mean when I say delusional narcissist. Like, what in the... Oh, my God. Dude, I forgot how painfully just disgusting this video shows him to be. I mean, like, I know he is, but, man, McKinnon Mitchell did such a good job of, like, you know, painting the actual truth of Kent Hovind. It's painful to watch. Ugh.
Kent was in prison for 9 years. His attitude towards women may not have started in a good place to begin with, but from my perspective, it seems to have only worsened over the years. And I believe I see a connection. Rebecca Horton reported Kent to the IRS. Michelle Heldmeyer was the person who prosecuted Kent. Judge Casey Rogers sentenced Kent Hovind to 10 years in prison. And Jo Hovind doubted and divorced Kent.
Ah, thank God she did divorce him. Good job, Joe. Or Joan. Was it Joe or Joan? I don't know, whatever. But good job. Glad you got away from that lunatic. Anyway, yeah, we didn't get through much of this, but I do want to try to keep these shorter. I don't know, maybe this next part I'll just do like a freaking hour-long video or something, because otherwise this is going to be like 10 or 12 parts or 20 parts long. And thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell for the whole ring-a-ling-ding thing. And until next time.